813 days ago.
2 years, 2 months,
and 21 days ago was when Spider-Man No Way Home hit theaters. Spider-Man No Way Home, a movie universally loved. Peter Parker, he has no way home. Somebody get this man a taxi, am I right? Until today, the only iteration that we've gotten of the red and blue suit was this monstrosity right here. Look at this thing. This thing right here, I hate it. It sucks. It gives me nightmares. I'm not even kidding. Get it out of my face. This is supposed to be the end-all, be-all of the red and blue suit, and I am incredibly honored to have this before me today. Thank you, Tamashii Nations, for being the light in the dark. Let's get going. First off, let's get a good look at this box here. Super clean, super sexy. Hopefully my lights aren't blinding you there. It looks fantastic. Let's go ahead and flip around to the backside. We got 3 different poses there. Simple and heroic action. Couldn't have said it better myself. Let's go ahead and crack this bad boy. Oh, we just got tape on the one side here. Pop that tab open. Yep, there we go. It looks like just the Tamashii Nations logo with a couple of different QR codes, probably leading to their website or their shop. Now it's time for the big reveal. Here it comes. Oh my god. That dude. Oh, this looks so good, bro. Holy. It is so clean, dude. I gotta get it out. The top part peels off just like that. Let's get a close-up on that once again. Very nice. I'm actually just gonna flip this, get all the accessories out. Then we'll go ahead and set all of these to the side. We're gonna get into that at the very, very end. First things first, let's talk about this guy right here. Get him in the hands. Let's feel it up. Come on. You know how we do things here. It's time for first impressions. His joints are buttery smooth. Let's take a look at that cake job. I'm just kidding. We'll get into all that later. Trust me. He has a little bit of plastic in his chest area there. We're just gonna go ahead and pull that right out. There we go. Now that I got him all the way out and ready to go, the first thing that I want to talk about here is the paint job on this guy. Because this is quite honestly the best paint job that I've seen on any Spider-Man figure. The reason why I say that, and it's something that I've talked about a lot, is going to be because of the webbing that they did here. They went with engraving and painted webbing with this figure. And generally what we see with that is some missing paint inside the engraved lines or some paint bleeding outside of those lines. And this is completely consistent all the way through. And that is something that I cannot say about any other Spider-Man figure that I own. And all the same goes for the hands as well. It's honestly an anomaly. But not only is the webbing fantastic on this thing, you won't find any spots on this figure where the blue bleeds into the red, nor will you find any red bleeding into the blue. Lastly, another spot that we normally see those issues is going to be on the spider, whether it's the front or the back. It's usually having paint bleed in or out of it. On this figure, we have none, and I am flabbergasted because of that. All of this combined makes this a 10 out of 10 in the paint department, and I could not be more satisfied nor impressed. Next up, we're gonna kind of speed through the articulation on this guy because I don't have much more to say other than you guys are going to love the hell out of posing this thing. It has all of the complexity of your regular Figuarts articulation mixed with the smooth butteriness of a Mafex. I don't know how they did it with this figure, but I have thoroughly enjoyed posing this thing so far, and I think you guys are gonna love it as well. All the POAs included on this aren't exactly anything new. We have the 2 points of articulation in the head movement, butterfly joints with a full 360 swinging shoulder. Obviously, we're gonna get bicep swivel and double jointed elbows. The chest can do a full 360 and crunch pretty well. The waist isn't going to have any sort of swivel, but it can crunch really far forward and backward. Of course, we get the all iconic Figuarts cheeks on the backside, making this yet another luscious badunk for our collection. Thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and some fantastic moving feet, along with toe crunch. Let's go ahead and move into some of the accessories that came with this guy. First things first, let's get a look at this head sculpt that came with him. As you can see, we get more of the same immaculate paint job that we saw on the first one, with absolutely none of the black paint missing from inside the lines and no black paint going outside of the lines. The only difference between these 2 head sculpts is going to be obviously the eyes are squinty on this one as opposed to the one that came on him, which were just fully wide open eyes. The head removal process is straightforward. You just pull straight up on the head and it pops right off. Instead of the regular ball looking peg, we got this kind of weird rectangular peg with a few notches on it. It looks a little weird, but it functions very well. In fact, I think it functions better than a standard ball peg would when it comes to head swaps. No unmasked sculpt today, which is kind of upsetting, especially when his head sculpt has come with previous iterations of Spider-Man from Figuarts. Let's go ahead and move him to the side. We're going to get into some of these accessories. Obviously, it came with a fair bit of hands. We got a pair of web swinging hands that look fantastic. Once again, none of the paint goes outside of the lines. 2 open palm pairs, which is kind of weird considering that the only difference between the 2 is the thumb is going to be a little bit tighter on the one set. And then another pair of whip hands. And lastly, the ones that came on the figure, which are going to be a completely closed pair of fists. We did not get a set of pointing fingers with this figure. That's honestly kind of disappointing, especially considering that the final battle version of Tom Holland did come with that set, and the fact that this one is also a part of the No Way Home set as well. I guess if you wanted the pointing hands, you're gonna have to go back and buy that iteration of him. Honestly, now that I'm looking at all the accessories that this thing comes with, it does kind of seem like we got, what, half the amount of accessories that that figure had. So do be aware that the other version is technically the better valued version. However, I still do like this one a little bit better just because of the suit that it is. Now that we've talked about the hands, I do want to go over the functionality of the hand swaps here today. Because if you guys know me at all, you know that I have problems with the way that Figuarts does the hand swapping. I had a little bit of problems when it came to Gwen. So let's go ahead and see if they fixed any of those issues with this figure right here. So pulling it off is pretty simple. It was a little bit tight, but usually it is the first time that you pull hands off. Hopefully I can get it to go on a little bit easier here. Okay, so it is pretty tight, but honestly, it's not that bad this time around. I would put this right on par with the difficulty of Toby's hand swaps. Oh my god. I accidentally set him up in a JoJo pose here. Hell yeah. Not a lot of complexity when it comes to the webbing today either. They're pretty much exactly the same as ones that we've seen released with previous Figuarts. The only difference is that we only got 3 this time. With this Spider-Man, you will find a large piece of webbing with the L on the end for him to grab onto, a medium-sized piece of webbing with the loop on the end to go between his hand and the peg, and finally a very, very tiny spraying web with the same loop on the end. Last and most definitely least, probably the weirdest design choice that I've seen on any Figuarts in the past is the ability to remove a peg from his back in order to put him on a stand. Now, in order to utilize the functionality of this, you're gonna need a stand first, which for some reason is sold separately. But next up, you're gonna want to take this little stick here that it comes with, and awkwardly enough, you're gonna have to poke it into the back and pry that little peg out of there in order to put the alternative piece in that's gonna allow us to pretty much connect to the stand that's not included. Now, we've seen this with other Spider-Man variants before, and no matter how many times I receive this same system, it is still not grown on me. I find it incredibly clunky and awkward, and I think that there could be a way more intuitive way of going about this. So if you're not a fan of that system, well, you better get used to it, buddy. And finally, getting to the conclusion of S.H.Figuarts' take on the new red and blue suit from No Way Home. And I gotta say, as much as I love the suit, as much as I love the articulation, the paint job, the sculpt, there is no denying that this is the inferior version of S.H.Figuarts' Tom Holland figures, and that's all chalked up to the amount of accessories that we received with this figure. We've seen way more webs, way more hands, and even on the last version, we got swappable eyes. So for all of that to be absent here is kind of a pity. Despite all of that though, I really still do enjoy this figure, and I would still recommend it to people who are a fan of this suit. My very last thought that I want to put out there on this figure today is stay the hell away from this one right here. Buy this one instead. Avoid this at all costs. But yeah, that's gonna be a wrap today. I want to thank you all so much for watching the entire video all the way through. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, stay awesome.